Hey people, welcome to my channel and part 2 of this long straight fitted Ankara dress with back slit and full lining. I will show you how to join and sew the fabric pieces we cut in part 1 beautifully and neatly with lining. Please keep on watching. Start by assembling all the fabric pieces we cut in our previous video. Now sew all the darts on a 1/2 inch seam allowance and press. You're sewing 2 darts on the front bodice, back bodice, front and back skirt respectively. Now that we have sewn all our darts, we are going to get the 2 front pieces as the front skirt and the front bodice. So we're going to sew right sides to right sides like I'm doing. We're going to make sure the darts match. Make sure your darts are matching and you pin together. The darts should match and you pin together. So these are the 2 front pieces to complete the front. You do the same thing for the back. You have to match. These are the back pieces. We also match them together and pin. We match them together and pin. This is the second back piece. We also match together and pin. Match together and pin. So we're going to be sewing on a 1/2 inch seam allowance. That seam allowance we left at the waistline when we're drafting and cutting. So now this is the back piece, this is the second back piece. We're going to sew them together, making sure that our darts match. Your darts must match together. So this is the front piece. So you go ahead now and join this together on a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then we'll come back. Do well to watch part 1 of this tutorial where I show you how to cut the fabric to make this dress. A link to the video is in the description box below. So guys, I've joined my sides, my seam at the waistline, and I've also pressed it. I've pressed all my darts. Then this is the back also. I've done the same thing for the back. I've joined the top, that's the back bodice and the back skirt and at the waistline, and I've also pinned my zipper into place. So what you're going to do now is you're going to fix your zip into the back of your dress. Make sure these 2 parts are aligned. That's why I pinned it in place first. That's these seams here, these seams are the waistline. Make sure they are aligned. Then when you fix your zipper, note where you want your slit to start, because it's a long skirt, a long dress. So this back side where the skirt is, you need a slit so that you can work properly. So after stitching your zipper, you also take the stitch down to wherever you want your slits to start, but note that it should be in a place where it's going to be very comfortable for you to walk in. So after fixing your zipper and extending your seam to where you want your slit to start, you now take the back piece and the front piece and align them right sides to right sides. So right sides should be together. Make sure everything is matching. So when you finish with the slit and the zipper, sewing the slit and the zipper, what you do, you go to the shoulder and sew on a 1/2 inch seam allowance that we put in place when we're cutting, 1/2 inch seam allowance for both shoulders. Then you go to the side seams. I don't know the allowance you left, but my allowance was 1 inch, so you just sew on a 1 inch seam allowance straight all the way down on both sides. So just 1 inch seam allowance, you just sew straight down, then we come back. We have joined our main dress. So if you see, everything is clean and very neat. We have joined it. If you flip it to the back, this is with the zipper. So I've pressed the side seams, that's why it looks very okay. And I've also gone ahead to sew my lining piece. So the lining is sewn exactly the same way you sew the main dress. So I've joined it at the shoulder, but the only thing is I didn't put the dart because I prefer lining to be free inside, so there's no dart. I've left the zipper allowance and just stitched to where the slit starts. So the lining is like, it's a replica of the main dress. So that's what I've done. I've sewn everything is neat, everything is clean. Then for the side seam, instead of using 1 inch like the main dress, what I did, I used 1/2 inch because I want it to be a little free. So now we are going to be lining this dress now with this lining piece. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to wear the lining into the dress, but the wrong sides will be together. So we'll flip it to the back like this, open the zipper. So we want to wear the lining into the dress. So this end with the slit will go in, the back to the back, just like this, but the wrong sides will be touching themselves. So the idea is the front of the dress is neat, and when you open the back is also neat. So we have worn it now, and we have worn it wrong sides to wrong sides, wrong sides to wrong sides. Wrong sides to wrong sides. So now I'm going to pin just to hold it in place along the neckline. Then I'll show you what to do. Pin along the neckline just to hold it in place. So make sure the wrong sides are touching so that when you open it on the inside, is the right side of the lining you'll be seeing. So I've pinned it in place now. I've pinned it in place now. So the first thing we're going to do, the first place we're going to stitch is the bottom. We're going to be stitching the bottom first. So what we'll do, we'll go to the bottom. So like this is right sides to right sides, but we can't sew on the right side. So we're going to flip it like this. so that we can stitch on the wrong side, but the right sides should be aligned. So I will just pin this in place, right sides to right side at the hem, and we'll sew right sides to right sides at the hem, and we will sew. We'll sew it in place. So I'll take it to my machine and sew and come back. So I've sewn the right sides together on a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now we're going to flip it back. We'll flip it back, and immediately we have sewn the hemline already, so don't bother about that. So the next thing we're going to do is to stitch along the neckline. Also, we'll flip it so that we we've already pinned it in place, so we stitch it so that we'll sew the right sides together. So now we'll go to the sewing machine and also sew, and I'll show you when I come back. So now we have sewn the neckline right sides to right sides, and we'll flip it back. So we have sewn the neckline and hemline of this dress. Time to finish off the slit and the other parts. So to finish up the slit, what we'll do is we'll flip the dress to the back. So we're working on the inside of the dress. So I flipped it now. So first thing we want to do is to finish off where the slit is. So we're going to go in between the lining and the dress itself and flip like this. This will help us gain access to the slit part. So we're in between the lining and the dress. So now I'm going to align like this. And we're going to be joining where the slit starts here and where it starts at on the main fabric and on the lining. We're going to align them together and pin it in place. So now that I've sewn the slit neat and clean, all we're going to do is just flip to the other side. So we'll just flip to the other side, and that is that. I'll flip to the other side. I remove this pin I used to hold it in place, and that is all. Then we'll move to the sleeve. So that's the only thing remaining. So we have an opening here at the zipper. It's going to be sewn with hand, because we need all this opening, because I'm going to close even this sleeve up. So we'll leave this opening here and we'll go and work on the sleeve. I've gone ahead to stitch my sleeves. So they are sewn now. I've turned them to the right side, the two sleeves and the two lining pieces. So I've stitched them together, stitched them, so they are okay now. So I'm going to show you what to do now. I've also cut my cuffs. They are about 2 inches, half inch allowance plus just 1 inch, so I've cut my cuffs too. So what we're going to do now is you go to your machine and sew a straight stitch around the sleeve cap, and we're going to draw that thread so that we can gather the sleeve cap so that it can fit into the armhole. You know, when we're making the sleeve, we use the slash and spread method, so the sleeve cap now is bigger than the sleeve. That's how we wanted it. So now you're going to just sew a loose basting stitch on your sewing machine round the sleeve cap, and you're going to pull it to gather it so that it can enter the sleeve cap. You do the same thing for the lining. Make a loose basting stitch round the sleeve cap of the lining and also attach it to the armhole of the lining, so they are separate. The armhole of the main dress is different from the armhole of the lining. So you fix the lining, this sleeve lining, to the lining piece, and you fix the main sleeve to the main dress. So we have joined the sleeve to the armhole, so even if you turn it, even the lining, everything has been joined. So all we're going to do is to also sew along this hemline of the sleeve. We'll sew a straight basting stitch round and gather it and sew it into the cuff, and we're good to go. So that's all we'll do. Just sew a straight basting stitch round, loose basting stitch, and you sew it into your cuff. So guys, we are done with the dress. I've gone ahead to pin the zipper here, the finishing. I'll finish it off with a hand needle, so everything is clean, everything is neat. Even if you turn the other side off, everything is clean, no thread marks showing, everything is neat, the lining is neat inside. So this is the dress. It's about to rain, so it's a little bit dark. Thanks for watching till the end to see how I made this dress. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.